So basically you got this internet pop up, right? And it's like a company trying to figure out, okay, well, how many times can we put the pop up that it reaches the maximum number of people, right? Because at that point, like, if you spend any more money on like increasing the number of times it pops up, you're gonna like decrease the number of people it actually reaches, right? So that's just silly. You're just wasting money.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of the goal of the question. It also wants to know like what's the absolute extreme it's gonna be before like E represents
Like the most money you're making, or the closest you get to breaking even.
I don't know about the breaking even piece, just the maximizing, right? Because this part B is asking about the maximum.
Okay.
But part A is asking like, what's the absolute most amount of money you can spend, or like where would you spend X amount of money and have 0 viewers? That's what part A is asking, right?
Yeah.
So initially, when I thought about this, when I saw this, I was thinking, okay, well, if I plugged in 0 for N, that's what I was, when the pop is 0% effective, I'm thinking, okay, well, if I plug in 0 for N, right, how many views am I going to get?
None.
Well, let's look at the equation. So if I plug in 0 in for N.
Oh, N. Oh,
yeah. This was, I was thinking incorrectly, but I still arrived at something useful.
Would it?
So if I plug in...
It would be 0, wouldn't it? Or would it be 1 million? No.
What is it? What's on the end?
N.
So if I plug in -2 times 0 squared plus 18 times 0 plus 44.
Yeah.
Well, the zeros are going to wipe out, and I'm left with 44. But it's represented in 44 million. That just means when I'm like plotting my graph, right? The parabola's crossing. It's the y-intercept.
Oh.
Right? So that means when what would that mean?
Maybe I can use the graph paper.
You can use graph, yeah. That'd be useful to help you visualize what's going on, right? So if I plug in 0, how many viewers it receives per day? Okay, so it's saying E is like going to be the percentage of effectiveness, and N represents. Okay, so N represents the number of people that see it, right? So if N equals 0, it's looking like it's going to reach 44 million people.
In cap all.
In what, sorry?
In like end. That's like
oh yeah, well it still has room to increase, right? If we look at our parabola.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So unfortunately, like that doesn't answer anything for us because in terms of in the context of the question, it doesn't really tell it because the question doesn't ask us anything about that. But that was my starting point because I was like, what am I doing with the 0? Am I putting it in for N or am I putting it in for E? Right? E stands for the effectiveness, which is what it's saying, right? So when the part A is when the population effectiveness is 0. So when E equals 0, which is what you had written down, right? So 0 equals -2n squared plus 18n plus 44, right? So you're going to replace the E with 0% effective, right? Mm-hmm. So the 0 goes in for E. Now, what I was getting at earlier is obviously this company has done research and figured this out, right? But obviously after a certain amount, like you're gonna like decrease and decrease and decrease, right? So the question's kind of asking here, when the pop-up is 0% effective, right? That would be here.
Yes.
Right, because E is...
find the zeros.
Yes. This is a weird question. Like it's in context different than anything I've ever done. Like normally it's like a distance time or like dollars and numbers of things sold, right? This is an interesting question. It's So just different units on the axes. So it's hard, a little bit harder to interpret.
Ooh. Yeah, I was just studying a lot last night.
Right.
I hope I'm ready.
Yeah, you seem alright. Hey.
Yeah. I don't know, I've been in that kind of, we got back from break and I wasn't fully back yet, and it actually hit me yesterday. I was just thinking of, the culminating, like, as, oh, quiz for the exam, we're just getting ready, and then 15%. Whoa.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
It got real.
Yeah, so that was a little nerve-wracking, kind of scary, but I'm better for it.
Mm-hmm.
I work best under pressure, when there's no other choice. Okay, so this is right? Like money spent, views, it increases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I almost feel like when I run Facebook ads,
yeah.
I feel like N would be like, before I like try pushing it out, right? If I like did promotion myself, like I put it on my page, it's gonna reach my natural number of people, right? Or whoever would be on my friends list, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, if I boost it, you know, if you boost posts or whatever,
Yeah.
they start reaching more people. There must be something about this question that's talking about the overall effectiveness of the pop-up. So after you like, there's like a balance between how much money you spend on the boost and it becoming effective anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you like, at a point you're going to be putting in millions and only
And what are you
reaching-
getting back?
Yeah.
Right? I think that's kind of what this question's getting at. So it's asking about, okay, well, if I reach the whole planet, right? Well, some of the people aren't really, depending on, like, people aren't really, if you need them to do something in your backyard, right? Like, whatever that is, right? If they're halfway across the world, that's useless. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So, like, reaching them doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah,
with the
going
pop-up.
global isn't gonna
Right.
help your local business.
Right? So that's what I'm getting at. So maybe you're spending all this money, but you're not really getting anything in return.
Yeah.
Effectiveness, I think, is what this question's doing, right? So you're right in trying to solve for the roots, right? Or the zeros. I see something here that looks, I could do something with this. So why don't I do 0 is equal to, and I'm going to take the -2 out.
Okay. So, okay. Let me actually just wanna write this out along with graphing it.
Yeah, the graph.
Get both down.
Yeah.
2 birds, 1 stone.
I was really just using the graph to kind of help myself trying to
Yeah.
understand what was going on. Or
Yeah, visualizing it. I spent on this question. I spent so much time trying to figure it out on paper. Yikes.
Okay, this is an easy question.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So look, so
Reassuring.
I factored out the 2. Now this looks like a simple trinomial, right? So you want to get caught up? We'll move on.
Oh, thank you.
No worries. That way I don't get too far ahead. You catch everything.
Did you see when students were handed the test? You know, could you see any visible,
No.
like,
No,
oh,
I didn't look at it.
God.
I didn't look at it.
Okay.
I know there were a few people back in period 5 today, though.
Okay. So,
Right? So you're
then-
going to set E equal to 0,
yeah.
like I've done. And then you're going to go, okay, well, that looks like you can either factor it as a complex trinomial because the A value is not 1. Or you can recognize I could pull a greatest common factor of -2 out, and it creates a simple trinomial,
Yeah.
which is nice to factor, right? So now I'm just looking for 2 numbers to multiply the -22 and add to -9, right?
Oh, hey, Pepper. He's gonna try and get some cookies.
So this looks all right, right? Like we could probably come up with two numbers pretty easily, right?
Oh.
And then the question's over.
Yeah.
Well, this part of it anyway, right?
Okay, so I'm almost caught up.
Okay.
15 divided by 2 is 9, and 49. 49 doesn't divide equally.
49.
Oh, it's
It's 44. Yeah. So you can pull the 2 out. That's how I saw it.
Oh, it's all negative.
Except the first one.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, you're okay. I want you to get caught up.
We're sniffing everything. Okay. So, now that we have this,
Now what can you do?
take out the negative 22.
Take it out?
Yeah.
How's it?
You times it by the 2 out here and move from the brackets.
But you just factored the 2 out. That would be counterproductive. You'd be doing the opposite of whatever you just did, right?
That's very...
We just got to factor this. This looks like a trinomial. N squared minus 9n minus 22.
Can't we use the B thing?
You can. That's a lot of work.
That's what I was saying. Like, remove the 2 and then we can use just do the B
Oh,
thing.
like the quadratic equation.
Or, I don't know, let's just...
Oh, you're talking about is it completing the square?
I think so, yeah.
That's the
completing
next
square.
part. That's part B.
Okay.
Because
okay.
we'll get to that in a sec.
All
You
right.
need, so if we're solving for the roots, what do we need to do?
Put it in standard.
It's in standard now, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Good. And then factor it.
Yeah.
So I'll put it into factored form by factoring,
Factored
right?
form, yeah.
So by doing that, I can find the roots, which is what this question's asking me about. How many viewers in millions of people, or N, results in 0 effectiveness,
Yeah.
right? So if I factor this, I need 2 numbers to multiply to negative 22 and add to negative 9.
Multiply to 22.
Negative 22, yeah, and add to negative 9.
Two and 11.
Mm-hmm. What combination?
Because
you still have to get the
so
negative.
If they get to negative, so it's gonna have to be. They both have to be.
If they're both negative, it'll become a positive.
Oh, okay. So the 11 has to be negative, and the
Yeah.
2 has to be positive.
Perfect. So when
So
I
let's
multiply
just-
them, they give me a negative, but when I add them together, it just becomes negative 9, right? And then with a simple trinomial, right? As soon as I arrive at those 2 numbers for a simple trinomial, I can just write the variable in front of both of them. And I'm done, right? So my factored form is actually just n minus 11 multiplied by n plus 2.
Yeah.
Right? And now I can figure out, okay, well, my zeros, n is going to be equal to 11. So 11, 0 is one of the roots. And the other one is going to be negative 2, 0. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So n is equal to negative 2. So n, negative 2, 0. Right. So this question's asking me though. So n represents right here. N represents the number of viewers in millions of people. Right.
Yeah.
So therefore, this doesn't make any sense. This one's like negative, right? So that doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not useful for you. So your answer is actually okay. Well, when like the pop-up reaches 11 million people, right?
Yeah.
It's 0% effective. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'm just looking, making sure we're at the right things. The 11 has to be negative.
Yeah, we got it negative, and then I solved for n, right? I stated what the actual root
Oh,
was.
yeah,
The
yeah,
11's
okay.
down here.
Wait. So. Oh yeah, I did the same thing. Wait.
Yours are backwards. You got -2, and this needs to be, because that -2 plus 11 is going to be +9. It needs to add to -9. So you just gotta flip the sign on them.
So it has to be +2. Oh yeah, because they're backwards.
Mm-hmm. This was kind of a hard question in the context of like it's kind of a weird context question,
Yeah.
right? Like I haven't really seen one of those before.
Go away. Go away.
Right? So then the next one, you okay with that? Part A?
So these are the zeros. So
Yeah, one of them's
So -11 is going to
okay.
be.
So what happens when you solve them?
Oh, positive.
Positive 11 and
then
-2.
Is -2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then 11 is the 0% effectiveness.
Yeah, when it reaches 11, the question's saying like in millions of people.
Okay.
So it's all, when the pop-up reaches 11 million people, it reaches 0% effectiveness. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a tricky question just because of what it was asking for. Okay. Weird stuff. Now, part B. Is a little more familiar because it's just asking about the maximum.
All right.
Okay.
So now we're on B.
Yes. Now, there's an easy way to do this, and the not so easy way to do. Well, they're both kind of easy if you know how to complete the square, right? But one, let's say one is definitely less work than the other.
Okay.
Okay. So we both said, okay, this one we're asking about the maximum, so it's talking about the vertex. Okay. And it's saying, okay, well, what's the effectiveness or maximum effectiveness? Where does that occur after it reaches how many people? Is the question, right?
Yeah.
So I need the n value that produces the maximum.
Okay.
So you said we can complete the square. Right?
Yeah.
That's one option. Now, that can be a little bit more work for some kids, right? Because you got to find the z value, you got to add, subtract, you got to fact, like, you know what I mean?
All the wacky stuff.
It's a little bit time consuming. Now, if you remember my quadratics flowchart.
I wrote it on the back of my test, actually.
Good. Okay, so there's one where if I'm in factored form, and I switch to vertex, I can switch to vertex from factored. Remember doing that?
Yes.
So, what do I have here? If I extend this parabola backwards, where does the maximum occur?
The middle.
Of the two roots.
Yeah.
So why can't I go, okay, find the middle?
Oh, and we already have the y-intercept.
And you already have the y-intercept. I don't know what that, like I don't know what the y-intercept, that was kind of, I don't really understand that one, the y-intercept.
We just kind of put it in there.
I think I kind of made sense of it earlier. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like what would happen before I put any money into advertising my post, right? Before it popped up everywhere. But if I find the middle of the two roots or zeros, I can find the axis of symmetry.
Yeah.
Right? Once I have the axis of symmetry, I can plug that value into the equation, get a y value. That's the effectiveness, maximum effectiveness, right?
Dang it.
The n value that maximizes effectiveness. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we, I'll let you get caught up a little bit. Okay, and then we'll see how to find the middle of the roots. Okay.
Wait,
You want to see my pro? There.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, you go in the negatives.
Huh?
You got to go in the neg. Well, actually, you don't really need to, but
We could just...
it's okay. You don't actually. You could probably just do the algebra. You might not need to graph it.
Yeah, I just
You know what I
want to look back on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever. It's...
I'll have this here though. Like, you
Oh,
can
that's
watch
true.
this, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we just like, we'll find the middle of those two roots, right? And then we can find the effectiveness for the middle, right?
So...
Or the axis of symmetry. So we know what the roots are, right? So you can see here, like, I don't really want to complete the square. Especially if I have, like, my answer is basically here. Like, there's not a lot of work here, right? It's.
So we have to do...
So let's find the middle.
11 minus 2 divided by 2.
11. You got. So if I were to find, if you were to average your marks.
2.
Okay. Yeah. True. Okay. You're just like skipping a step. So you're gonna add. You always add the roots together and divide by 2. In this case, yes, one of them is negative, so you're gonna subtract them. Yes. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So 11 minus 2. 4.5.
Yeah. This is 9 over 2, which is gonna be 4.5 now. That's the number, 4.5. So that means 4.5 million people
That's peak.
reached maximizes effectiveness, right? Now, one more thing. What is the actual efficiency or effectiveness? How do we find that out? Where's the question?
Oh, we have to find E.
Yeah, find E. How do I find E using what? An n value of
Negative 2. Wait. The
middle.
Middle, yeah.
4.5, right? So E is equal to negative 2n squared plus 18n plus 44, right?
Yes.
So then if I plug in the n value of 4.5, right, you got to do some math, right? And maybe here's the other thing. You could also choose to use this one, right? Like let's say for a sec you forgot you forgot your calculator or something, right? For a test. You could use this equation too, right?
Okay.
And you can plug in the n value. That looks a little bit nicer. I can do 4.5 minus 11 times 4.5 plus 2. That's a little bit more workable, right, than what we did down here, but it doesn't matter, right? So I could do, I don't know what 4.5 squared is, 6, maybe 12.
Oh, that doesn't make sense.
20.25.
I don't know what I'm doing.
What doesn't make sense?
I just did something that didn't make much sense.
Does this make sense? What I'm doing
Yeah,
on mine? Okay. I thought you were saying
I was just
what I was doing was making
doing
sense.
my own thing. Actually working backwards, probably.
Oops. Let's actually get an answer here. So we get 2. So it's negative. Right? So the maximum, you can copy all that down, but I'll say You could write a therefore statement. I'm not going to, but. Okay.